Hello everyone, welcome to MVC Academy. This is Santosh Koka, Faculty of Polity and Governance. In the previous classes, we have started with new topic, that is constitutional bodies. We have covered UPSC and also Comptroller and Auditor General. So very important constitutional bodies. And also we have some statutory bodies also, right? So apart from constitutional bodies, UPSC, CAG and also national commissions, different national commissions also we have discussed in the previous class. So now we will look into the statutory bodies. What are the statutory bodies? Apart from constitutional bodies, which derived the powers and functions from completely or directly from the constitution, they are completely derived the powers and functions from statutory. Stature means here the law, legislature given by the parliament here. That is the difference, most difference. We have to see different criteria here. So what are the important statutory bodies are there also? We have to understand. So first of all, introduction to statutory bodies here. So it established by an act of parliament or state legislatures. So these constitutional bodies are not given by completely related to union government or central government here. Like what we had the UPSC or certain CAG, or apart from UPSC and CAG we have national commissions for SC, ST, BC, right, women, etc. Right, all those are constitutional bodies. They will completely powers and functions means completely run by the government, central government only. But here if you see statutory bodies are can be controlled or given or created by state governments also. That is the most relevant difference we have to understand, right? So here it is established means these statutory bodies established by an act of parliament or an act of state legislatures. That is the difference. So, but if you compare with constitutional bodies, those are established by the constitution itself. The existence of those constitutional bodies completely derived from the powers and functions derived from the constitution itself, right? So, there is no act or there is no new law, etc. Right? So, here completely an act of parliament or state legislature. That is the most difference we have to understand. So, whenever you compare these differences or these similarities in polity concepts, you can better understand each and every concept, right? So, they created to perform specific functions laid down in statute, right? So, they created to perform specific functions laid down in statute. What is the statute here? This is completely an act or law. Whatever mentioned different powers and functions in the particular law, completely they have to follow those certain powers and functions only, right? We have to understand here. And also they were not mentioned in the constitution. Why? Because they are not constitutional bodies. That's why they are completely established by an act of parliament or act of state legislature. That's why they have not mentioned in the constitution, right? So they play vital role in governance and regulation. They play likewise what we have our importantly democratic strengthening and also important significant role played by the constitutional bodies related to democratic government, right? Strengthen our governance. Likewise here also statutory bodies, whether they are established by an act of parliament or statutory or state legislatures, they also play vital role in governance and regulation of different things. And also they are accountable to the legislatures that created them. So who created them? Act of parliament or state legislatures. Completely they are accountable to these bodies only. They are not accountable to any president or any other officer. Likewise, if you see the UPSC, in UPSC, these accountable, they are completely members and chairperson of UPSC are accountable to the president. They have to submit the annual report to the president only. Likewise, if you see CAG, right? So CAG also completely accountable to the president only. They will CAG member, especially CAG will send the report, audit report to the president first. Then president will send to the parliament. Likewise, if you see state public service commission are accountable to the governor here, right? So governor receives the each and every report related to the state public service commission. Likewise, so here these are constitutional bodies. That's why who are the constitutional office or authority is there, they are completely accountable to them only, right? But here these are an act of parliament or act of state legislature, that's why they are completely accountable to the legislature that created them. And what are the examples for these statutory bodies? We can see NHRC. NHRC is the first important thing we have to understand. It is a statutory body. And also CVC, Central Vigilance Commission, also we have SEBI, RBI, these like of acts. From those, they derived powers and functions from these legislatures only, right? So we have to understand some of few statutory bodies here. So first of all, if you see National Human Rights Commission here, what is the introduction here related to National Human Rights Commission here? It is a statutory body under Protection of Human Rights Act 1993, right? So it is created, completely created under the Protection of Human Rights Act 1993. Whenever UN Human Rights, means United Nations Human Rights Convention was happened, our India also has signed in it, right? So whenever we sign, compulsorily we agree to the convention, compulsorily we have to frame certain human rights in our India also. That's why completely India created this particular body, right? Commission, National Human Rights Commission under the Protection of Human Rights Act 1993, right? So it is a watchdog of human rights in India. It is a watchdog of human rights in India. If you compare with CAG, what is the CAG here? It is a watchdog of our accounts and reports, etc., financial relations or matters in India, right? So not only central government, state governments also, right? So likewise here, NHRC especially, it is a watchdog of human rights in India, right? So it protects rights relating to life, liberty, equality and dignity. It completely protects. What is the aim of this National Human Rights Commission here? It protects rights relating to life, right? We have right to life, and also liberty, fraternity, those were enshrined or included in our preamble, right? So and also if you see equality and dignity, right? So all these are completely protected by this commission only. It covers rights guaranteed by Constitution. It covers rights guaranteed by the Constitution completely. That is the main important thing. Whatever rights we have been acquiring or receiving from the Constitution completely, those are completely protected by NHRC, right? It includes rights in international covenants and are enforceable in India. It includes rights in international conventions or covenants enforceable in India. So whatever we have United Nations human rights, right, enjoyable by all the countries, right? So from that only we have included some sort of rights internationally or universal rights. So independent institution for human rights protection. It is an independent institution for human rights protection, right? So these are the complete introduction related to NHRC. If you see what is the composition of NHRC here as a statutory body, it is having a chairperson, retired Chief Justice of India or Supreme Court judge can be having the particular seat of chairperson, right? So chairperson should be retired Chief Justice of India or Supreme Court judge. If you see the members who are serving or retired judge of Supreme Court can become the members of NHRC, right? Serving or current judge of Supreme Court or retired judge of Supreme Court, right? So if you see the serving retired Chief Justice of a High Court also a members here, right? Serving or retired Chief Justice of High Court, not judges, right? Serving or retired Chief Justice of a High Court can be a member, right? So 3 members with knowledge of human rights, 3 members with knowledge of human rights also, some members, and also chairpersons of NCSC, NCST, and whatever we have National Commission for Backward Classes and NCM, minorities and women as ex officio members also, right? So these type of whatever we have national commissions for different communities or sections, backward sections, they also included as ex officio members in this NHRC meetings, right? So and also Chief Commissioner for Persons with Disabilities as ex officio member. Chief Commissioner for Persons with Disabilities as ex officio member also, right? So these are very important and big composition here. So composition of NHRC, if you see, chairperson is there as a retired or retired Chief Justice of India, or a Supreme Court judge, senior most Supreme Court judge we can see. And also members, who are the members here? Serving or retired judge of Supreme Court, and also serving or retired Chief Justice of High Court, a High Court especially. 3 members with knowledge of human rights especially. 3 members will be come from knowledge of human rights. Others are ex officio members of NHRC, NCSC, NCST, etc. And also Chief Commissioner for Persons with Disability as also a ex officio member. This is the complex composition we have to remember. And if you see what are the powers and functions which are completely derived from the Act, right, statute. So NHRC powers and functions here, it act as a powers of a civil court, right? As a civil court, it will enshrine all and every completely. It is handling the powers especially. It can take suo motu cognizance of human rights violations, right? So it can take suo motu cognizance of human rights violations whenever the violations of human rights observed had happened in India. So it can proceed each and everything, right? That is the main important thing. So it inquires into petitions presented to it, every time whatever petitions related to the violation of human rights are received by this NHRC, immediately it give inquiry to the particular petitions, right? It visits jails and institutions to check living conditions. So after convicting so many persons, right, conviction related issues or some sort of that death sentence also, they will visit these jails and institutions related to their survival or living conditions especially. So this is also a kind of human rights issues, right? So completely they will involve in these matters. Reviews constitutional and legal safeguards for human rights here. It reviews constitutional and legal safeguards for human rights. We are having so many human rights safeguards relatedly, but not only constitutionally but also some sort of legal safeguards. So they will review each and everything whether they are implementing properly or not. So and also it recommends measures for effective implementation of safeguards. It recommends measures for effective implementation of safeguards. Whenever the implementation of these safeguards are not up to the mark, it will completely recommend some suggestions or reforms related to strengthen or effective implementation. So next, if you see what are the limitations of NHRC, what are the challenges or some sort of loopholes we have or problems, issues related to NHRC here. It can inquire only into violations within 1 year. It can inquire only into violations within 1 year. So that is time bounded manner it is having, right? That is one sort of limitation. It cannot inquire into allegations against armed forces. Whenever armed forces related some personalities have done some sort of these type of violation of human rights, they can't inquire, right? That is the case here. So if you see, for example, if you see AFSPA, we have Armed Forces Special Protection Act, right? So related to our northeastern states, especially Assam relatedly, and we have see the border issues right there. So AFSPA, at that time, after enacting AFSPA, so many powers were enshrined into this body, right? So armed forces especially, they have completely utilized, misused those powers, and he even did some sort of cruel things like rape and murder, etc. here, right? So these type of facts, NHRC cannot inquire into these allegations, especially related to AFSPA, etc. right? So it can only ask for report from central government on armed forces. It can only, whether if the National Human Rights Commission find anything violation of the particular human rights by the armed forces, it can ask the report from central government. First of all, they can't inquire directly into the allegations of the armed forces, right? So, and also recommendations are not binding on government. That is also a limitation. Whenever they are trying to solve any case or trying to inquire any particular issue related to violation of the human rights, they are having very little time, that is only 1 year time. That is a limitation. And also they can't inquire violations of human rights related to armed forces, right? So, and also they have to acquire any, first of all they have to send any report, right, from the central government. That is also a limitation. And also recommendations are not binding on the government, just their suggestions or recommendations are some sort of directives only, right? So it limited enforcement powers also. They have enjoyed only limited enforceable or enforcement powers, right? They don't have complete enforcement powers here. That is also a limitation. It depends on government cooperation for implementation, right? So every time whether they want to safeguard the human rights, especially, they have to completely coordinate with the government. They don't have complete powers for the enforcement of these rights, especially, right? Powers of NHRC. Those are the limitations here. So if we provide as an independent NHRC, means body, statutory body, it should have all these enforcement powers, complete enforcement powers, but do not have. That is the limitation here. So next, recent statistics, if you observe, as of September 2024 regarding the National Human Rights Commission here, almost 8,928 fresh cases received in September 2025. That is one important fact. So if you see 4,020 cases disposed, fresh plus old, right? So this is also very important. And also 39,240 cases under process still, right? So high volume indicates significant role in addressing grievances here. High volume, whatever we have observed, right? Almost 8,000 fresh cases received in September only 2025. That is high volume, right? What it indicates, significant role in addressing grievances. Very much important, right? So it has to play significant role in grievances, means problem solving of these violations of the fundamental human rights, especially. And also it demonstrates public trust in the institution. Demonstrates public trust in the institution, right? So if we have different number of cases, if we have increased the completely do not able to tackle these cases, automatically public trust will be diminished, right? So that already the public trust in the institution, especially, we have National Human Rights Commission. So we need to acquire the public trust from regarding this institution survival also, right? So what are the challenges here? Challenges in timely disposal of cases also. So a lot of pending cases are there. Every month fresh cases are coming, right? So we have to dispose each and every case, right? So fast trial courts also has to be included here. Timely disposal of cases is a particular challenge here. We have to understand, right? What are the recent developments regarding National Human Rights Commission here? Orissa High Court stayed NHRC proceedings against KIIT University 2025. Right? Orissa High Court stayed NHRC proceedings against one university, right? That is completely limiting these powers, we can say, right? So this case related to Nepalese students' death, right? Nepalese students' death was completely related to this case, right? So highlights jurisdictional challenges faced by NHRC. So they are completely jurisdiction challenges facing this by the powers of the NHRC here. So NHRC is not having complete powers, enforcement powers. That is the main lacking power. We can understand from this case. So here Orissa High Court stayed NHRC proceedings against this university, especially because the Nepalese student's death, right? The case is completely related to Nepalese student's death, right? So it's sort of limited powers thing, right? That is the main challenge. And also legal complexities in enforcement also very much important here. There were so many legal complexity in enforcement of these powers of NHRC, and also need for strengthening NHRC's power. We have to strengthen NHRC's powers and functions, as it is a independent body established by the statutory bodies, right? So ongoing debates on making recommendations binding, right? So there are so many ongoing debates are there. So the recommendations of NHRC should be binding on the government, then only we can solve each and every case related to the violation of the human rights. So what are the landmark cases and interventions here related to NHRC here? So if you see, custodial death cases were there, and police torture and fake encounter cases also included in these particular cases. Narmada Bachao Andolan intervention also was there as a landmark cases, and cases leading to legal reforms also, right? All these cases leading to legal reforms, and public interest litigation interventions also was there related to these cases, especially NHRC, violations of the human rights, and significant impact on human rights jurisprudence also was there, right? So if you see recently, Kolkata rape and murder case also, right? Kolkata doctor, we have already seen in the current affairs, right? Kolkata rape and murder case related to a doctor, right? So here this case also was into the particular NHRC, right? So but because of lack of complete enforcement powers, that is the main important challenge, and also these recommendations of NHRC should be binding on the government. That is the important debate, ongoing debate. It is completely ongoing here. So this is the NHRC. So if you see the Central Vigilance Commission, this is also a type of statutory body, important statutory body other than NHRC. If you see, it is a apex vigilance institution in India. Apex means it is a big or supreme vigilance institution in India overall, and also it is free from executive control. There is no executive control on this CVC, especially complete independent body. It monitors vigilance activity under central government, right? So there is lot of difference between Central Vigilance Commission and CBI. We will discuss in future, right? So it monitors vigilance. This CVC completely as a apex vigilance institution in India. It is a statutory body. Compared to CBI, it is not a statutory body. It free from executive control. It monitors vigilance activity under central government. Right, vigilance activity completely under the central government means central government officers, whether they are corrupted or something, right? It will focus. And also it's set up in 1964 on recommendations of Santanam Committee. It was set up in 1964 only on the recommendations of Santanam Committee, but given statutory status in 2003 itself. Right, 2003 only it has acquired the statutory status, right? So previously it was not. Right, neither a constitutional body, neither a statutory body. So it advises authority on vigilance matters. It advises complete authorities on vigilance matters, right? So that is the powers. Importantly, composition. What is the composition and jurisdiction of Central Vigilance Commission here? Central Vigilance Commissioner will be there as a chairperson, and up to 2 Vigilance Commissioner also will be there. Total 1 plus 2. 3 members will be there. Central Vigilance Commissioner as a chairperson and up to 2 Vigilance Commissioner will be there, right? So what is the jurisdiction over all India services members? Jurisdiction over all India services members, they will vigilant, right? So officers of scale 5 and above in public sector banks, who are officers of scale 5 and above in public sector banks also included in this jurisdiction, and also high ranking officials in central government departments. Who are the high-ranking officials in central government departments also are under the vigilance of CVC here. So public sector undertakings also included in this particular purview, and also exercises superintendence over CBI. It exercises superintendence over CBI. CBI is the under the CVC only, right? CBI works under the CVC only, we can say clearly. Right. So next, if you see what are the challenges and concerns related to Central Vigilance Commission here, over almost, if you see here, 7,000 graft cases pending trial as of August 2025 here. Over 7,000 graft cases pending trial as of August 2025. Almost so many pending cases were there. 379 cases pending for over 20 years. Almost 20 years. we have not solved some certain cases, that is 379 cases, and slow pace of judicial proceedings also is one important phenomenon here, one important issue or problem we have been facing, and it is a need for judicial and administrative reforms. So not only this completely CVC is related to administrative issues only, but here related to judicial also, judicial reforms also we need to be take care regarding the solving of the cases here, right? Need for judicial and administrative reforms is the very much important need. Requirement of faster trial mechanisms also should be there. Requirement of faster trial mechanisms should be there. It is emphasis on timely justice delivery also. There should be an emphasis on timely justice delivery. So if you take NHRC or if you take the CVC, faster trial court or mechanism or timely justice delivery is much required, right? Both cases as a statutory bodies, right? So a lot of pending cases is the main important problem, and also limited enforcement powers also one important reason. If you consider the NHRC, those recommendations of NHRC is not binding on the government, that is also an issue. So if you see the CVC, there are so many challenges completely related to not powers and functions here, only related to pending the cases, right? So we have to take care of this. That is the important bodies of statutory bodies here. So we will discuss other important bodies other than constitutional bodies and statutory bodies, some non-statutory bodies. Those are very important for the examination also in the next class. Thank you very much. All the very best.